This program is presented by the Fromm Institute for Lifelong Learning at the University of San Francisco. The Fromm Institute, keeping up with the times, no matter when.
Thank you, Dawa. It's great to be back, and here live in person at the Fromm. I'm looking forward to spending some Thursday mornings with you all here in person. We're not online also, so that is it's a disadvantage, I guess, for people who can't make it here in person, but it makes it a little simpler for me. I have taught in that hybrid format here in this room, and it works, but it's a little more complicated. So it's just us here in the room together today, and I hope we'll have some fun. That clock is maybe slightly fast. My clock says it's not quite 10. So I'll tread water here for another 30 seconds or something. And just say that I had great fun getting prepared for this class. I'll be recycling some material from other classes that I've taught, just kind of extracting the comic elements out of them and putting them together for us to look at in this class. And as I was telling Derek just before, as it always often happens with classes like this, you scramble to stay one step ahead of the class and be ready for Thursday morning. So that will be my pattern this fall as I try to get ready for these events and make sure that they're worthwhile for you. So yeah, I've taught classes here now, I think going back to maybe 2016 or something like that. And I've taught about Verdi and Wagner and Mozart and Rossini and French opera and modern opera and various other things. But I've never tackled comic opera as a genre all by itself. So that'll be our experience for the next few weeks. So let me just plunge right in here. Opera is not always tragic, which is going to be the point of this class, to point out some areas where we can get some enjoyment that is not sort of out of, how would you say, sympathy or catharsis, as the Greeks used to say. There is a lot of tragedy in opera in the standard repertoire. There's poor Violetta on her deathbed in La Traviata. There is poor Mimi on her deathbed in La Bohème. There's Carmen about to be stabbed by her ex on her way to a bullfight. There's Tosca about to leap off the parapet of the Castel Sant'Angelo. There's Madame Butterfly preparing to commit suicide. There's Aida. This happens to the men too. Aida and Radames are sealed in an Egyptian tomb and suffocate to death while they sing a duet. They should be probably saving their breath, but Don Carlos, we have Rodrigue or Rodrigo, depending on if you're in French or Italian. He dies to save his friend Carlos, taking the blame for plotting against the king. Later, Carlos is taken up by the Spanish Inquisition. Tristan and Isolde, she sings her love death over the body of Tristan and then dies herself. He dies of wounds and she dies of opera, some mysterious operatic death. In Salome, she contemplates the head of John the Baptist before being crushed to death by Herod's soldiers. Pretty grisly. Billy Budd, the good-hearted sailor, is hanged for impulsively striking and unintentionally killing the master at arms. And what about operas about social justice? We think about this a lot nowadays. Shouldn't opera address contemporary issues that are relevant to our times and to our lives? Dead Man Walking is a good example of this, which we premiered back in 2020. The Metropolitan Opera is going to be doing it in a couple weeks, actually, opening their season with it. It's been done. There have been more than 80 productions on 4 or 5 continents, so a very successful piece dealing with an element of social justice. Very successful. Interesting, Susan Graham, who played Sister Helen Prejean in the premiere, now plays the mother of the condemned man. Harvey Milk is an opera we did back in 1996, of course, about the slain civil rights leader, gay rights leader here in San Francisco. Margaret Garner is an opera by Richard Danielpour, which is an operatic telling of Toni Morrison's novel, Beloved, as you probably know, about a woman who kills her own children to prevent them from being taken back into slavery. Heart of a Soldier is about a real-life hero of 9/11. He saved Rick Briscorla. He saved the lives of several thousand people at the World Trade Center and then went back in to check and died himself. The film Joyeux Noël became an opera, Silent Night, about the Christmas truce during World War I. The opera Champion, which was just recently done by the Met and was done here by Opera Parallel, is based on the true life story of Emile Griffin, a black man who was a boxer, was also gay, and he unintentionally killed a man in the ring. The Grapes of Wrath is a wonderful opera by Ricky Ian Gordon, based on that famous novel by Steinbeck about the Depression era. As One is a very successful opera, been done many, many times by Kimberly Reed and Mark Campbell as librettist, and Laura Kaminsky is the composer. And it's about a transgender individual who, and these two people basically become the same person in the story. Breaking the Waves by Missy Mazzoli, another successful piece recently done by West Edge Opera, that is to say, over in the East Bay, about a man who becomes paralyzed and he encourages his wife to have sex with other men so that they can vicariously relive these experiences. Greg Spears' Fellow Travelers will be done this coming season by Opera Parallel here in San Francisco. It's about the, what do they call it, the pink panic, the lavender scare during the 1950s when were sort of hysteria about communism, and many gay people were drummed out of the State Department. The Revolution of Steve Jobs will happen this fall. It's in rehearsal now at San Francisco Opera about a very complicated Bay Area figure. Terrace Blanchard's Fire Shut Up in My Bones is based on a memoir by Charles Blow about childhood sexual abuse, and the Metropolitan Opera just recently did that to great acclaim. Janine Tenori's and Tazewell Thompson's Blue is about a black policeman whose son is killed by police. Anthony Davis's Central Park 5 is a Pulitzer Prize-winning piece about those young men who were arrested for rape in Central Park and spent several years in jail before they were completely exonerated, and the real culprit was found. Operas about social justice. Omar is another one that comes up this fall, which is again about a true life story about an African scholar. He was a educated Muslim scholar from northern Senegal who was captured and made a slave in South Carolina. And he wrote his autobiography in Arabic, the only one that we know that exists. This is an opera about him. It's been very well received when it premiered in South Carolina, in Charleston. Innocence is an opera that will be coming up next spring here at San Francisco Opera by the late, great Kaija Saariaho, a wonderful Finnish composer. I had the opportunity to meet her once briefly. She died just a short time ago of cancer. Innocence is about the aftermath of a school shooting. The Metropolitan Opera has just announced that it's commissioning an opera that is about Russia's abduction of Ukrainian children. So, yeah, opera is tackling these important issues head on. But couldn't we also take a look at the fun things as well while we're being socially conscious? So that's what we're going to do in these few weeks. Opera for Laughs, great comic moments in the world of opera. So we will look at what's funny. Jokes, of course, are funny. So like a guy my age goes to the doctor and says, you know, Doc, I think I might be starting to have some problems with my short-term memory. And the doctor says, well, when did you first start noticing this trouble? He says, what trouble? Ba-dum-bum. So yeah, we like jokes, but they don't necessarily work in opera very well, as we'll see, because the music doesn't often have much to add. In fact, the music can get in the way of the joke by making it harder to hear the words. So we'll find that the jokes of that kind, the sort of one-liners, are not very common in opera, but we'll look at some when they happen. Slapstick is funny. Men in drag is funny. There's a lot of this in opera. There are a lot of women dressed as men in opera, but not usually for comic effect. We'll talk a bit about that. But men dressed as women tend to be funny for some reason. Wit, of course, irony and satire, surprise, incongruity, the unexpected. We are amused by these things. Maybe we're not going to laugh out loud and slap our thighs, but we'll have a smile on our face. So I talked about jokes. Here's a little bit about slapstick.
Hey, Mo, I just got one. He was standing right here where you are. Was he a short, fat fella? Yeah. Dark hair? Yeah. You hit him with that? Yeah. That was me.